6 essentials to cultivate a thriving relationship. Number 1, accept your partner just as they are. Don't expect your partner to change. We can't change other people. We can only change ourselves. What we can do is to set a good example. So if we are disciplined, if we're hardworking, if we're loving, our partner is much more likely to reciprocate that than if we're lazy and undisciplined and rejecting. So if you can model the kind of behavior that you want your partner to display, that is a great start. Because when somebody feels safe and loved, that's a great environment for them to thrive. Much like a plant that's given the right conditions to grow, people are the same. When we give them everything they need to thrive, the right environment, they have every chance at success. Number 2, accept differences. So if you have a tendency to disagree with your partner on certain things, it can be good just to accept that. I love the phrase, we can agree to disagree, or even, I don't think we're going to agree on this point. It's a very powerful way to communicate, rather than if I have a point of view which I want to get across and my partner is not accepting that, that can end up in an argument, a toing and froing of differing views with no resolution. But if you can just say, okay, I respect your opinion, I don't agree, but I can accept that we're different, that just calms any disagreement, it calms the energy. And even though you know that you don't agree, it enables you to move forward without conflict. This can be particularly apparent where there's culture differences. When we grew up in a culture, we have a tendency to think that that is the best, or have an ideal view of what the perfect culture is like. But when we have a partner with a very different culture, whether that is because they grew up in a different country or just family values are different, it's easy to judge and to think that the way that we do things is the best, when actually we need to be open-minded and to consider different ways of doing things and why that might be, and how that might be valuable to be exposed to different ways of doing things and what we might be able to learn from that. Number 3, have a shared vision. Do you have something that you're working towards together? Or because this gives a sense of security in terms of having a view for the future. If you just kind of sail through every day and never really think about the future or never talk about it, that creates an uncertainty where the person might not feel sure that you're working towards something together. So it's important to look at what your future goals are. And even if you're very different, if you have a shared vision for the future that looks like it can work, this will make your relationship thrive if you can agree upon that. Make it clear that you're including your partner in your plans, but don't forget to enjoy today. Don't just focus on the future and what you're going to do in 10 years' time. Also remember to attend to your relationship every single day. Number 4, open your heart. This is a tough one for many people because most people know what it's like to have your heart broken, and we try to avoid that pain. I think it's one of the most painful experiences that humans go through. So we tend to want to protect ourselves from that heartbreak. But if you want to have a thriving relationship, it's necessary to open your heart, to be open to your partner, and to be willing to love and to be loved. So if you can cultivate good communication with your partner, if you can be open when you're finding things difficult, when you can be open to feedback, and open to consider where you might need to make a change or where you might need to be less careful or more trusting. If you can communicate that and keep that dialogue open with your partner, it will enable you to work through any challenges of this nature. Which brings me on to number 5, communication. Be open, don't have any secrets. It might be an obvious one, but I think not many people live by this. Most people have things that they are not really willing to share, or they like to keep something to themselves, not to share absolutely everything, but to have this one little thing that is a secret. But if you want to have a thriving relationship, it's important to be completely open. This also means being completely yourself, which again can be hard if you've faced rejection previously because parts of your personality were not accepted. It's very courageous then to be completely yourself and to see if this person is going to accept you exactly as you are. Because if you go through life hiding parts of yourself and not opening up and being willing to face rejection, it's like you're rejecting part of yourself. You know, there's always going to be part of yourself you have to hide. And that's sad. You know, we all want to express ourselves. We all want to be completely open and accepted and loved for exactly who we are. It can be that our relationships carry echoes of the past. So it's important to pay attention to the here and now and not to keep getting drawn back into previous behaviors that belong to previous relationships. So again, this takes presence and attention to the present moment in order to notice and identify where you're actually behaving in a way that doesn't belong to this relationship, but belongs to something from the past. And number 6, expect to work hard. Nobody wants to hear this, but relationships do take work, and we need to work at them every single day in order to cultivate a thriving relationship. You need to put in the time, effort, and energy to make things work, to maintain the closeness that you have, to maintain the connection, and to maintain the long-term vision. It's unlikely that your partner is going to be able to meet all your needs, so that's an unrealistic expectation, but you can identify where you do have shared interests and make sure that you reserve time for those, invest the time and make the effort to spend time together, to talk together, if possible, to pray together. Working hard also means doing everything with love. Love is not an emotion, it is also an action. So we can show our love by the way that we behave, by our actions, by being patient, kind, loving, doing our share of the chores, and just doing what we can to make life easier for our partner and not adding to their stress. So, in summary, 6 ways to cultivate a thriving relationship. If this resonates with you, I'd love to hear your comments. If you have more ideas about what contributes to a thriving relationship, please let me know. And please remember to like and subscribe.